Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Tuesday, the 7th day of October, 2025, the 2-year anniversary of the horrendous Hamas massacre attack on Israel, killing over 1,200 Israeli citizens on that particular day. And we're only in the second day now of the peace plan hostage negotiations there in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's over, no matter what certain optimists may say. Why we say this? Well, let's look at the headlines. Number one from N12 JFEED kind of says it all. Trump plan fail? Question mark. Hamas demands complete IDF withdrawal for release of final captives. And actually, Hamas is demanding a lot more, totally contrary to the Trump 20-point plan. And then we can't understand this headline. In light of this, Israeli officials cautiously optimistic for negotiations, the source tells the Jerusalem Post. And finally, Qatar, here they put their 2 cents worth in. Many details to be worked out in Trump Gaza plan, Qatar official says. All right, so let's look at the headlines and look at the story and see where we're at right now. And it isn't very pretty, and it certainly isn't very encouraging. Headline number one. And many websites, by the way, have the similar headline here. Trump plan fail. Hamas demands complete IDF withdrawal for release of final captives. Negotiations to end the Gaza war are progressing in Egypt, but Hamas is demanding the release of its top imprisoned commanders and a full Israeli withdrawal before handing over the last of the captives. That's their demands. Indirect negotiation between Israel and Hamas resumed in Sharm el-Sheikh on Tuesday, marking 2 years exactly since the October 7th attacks. The talks center on U.S. President Donald Trump's 20-point proposal to end the war, with an Israeli political official indicating cautious optimism despite the ongoing disagreements. How they can be cautiously optimistic is beyond me. Anyway, a core provision of the Trump plan requires Hamas to release all 48 remaining Israeli hostages, both living and dead, within 42 hours, while Israeli forces would withdraw to a predetermined yellow line, still in Gaza, but in a predetermined yellow line. Here comes the however. However, a senior Hamas official told Al Jazeera that the group vehemently opposes this timing. Hamas demands a clear timetable linking the stages of hostage release to the stages of a complete withdrawal of all Israeli forces from Gaza. The official stated that the release of the final captive, quote, must occur simultaneously with the final withdrawal of Israeli forces, close quote. The terror group is also seeking international guarantees for a permanent ceasefire and a full withdrawal. And if this happens, Hamas will remain in Gaza and still be in control. That's their demands. All right. And then we have this headline here that's heading here under this headline. Trump highly optimistic as negotiators head to Egypt. In Washington, President Donald Trump expressed strong optimism, telling reporters at the White House that we have a great chance. I really believe it will happen, close quote. He added, quote, we're very close to a deal in the Middle East. The people in Israel want it to happen. Hamas, I think, is fine. I think they want it to happen too, close quote. No, they don't in any way, shape, or form. Like we said this morning in the article we did yesterday, Hamas has never been, never will be interested in peace with Israel, just like Iran. The U.S. president noted that the United States received a strong signal from Iran, expressing a desire for the war to end and emphasized unprecedented global backing for the current initiative. No, not going to happen. To advance the fragile process, U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are expected to join the talks in Egypt, along with Israeli Minister Ron Dermer. An Israeli political official noted that the current direction is positive and that despite the official day of talks concluding, discussions were continuing in side rooms. However, the official cautioned that they must remain very careful because Hamas can create difficulties and backtrack at any moment. Well, they backtracked from the very beginning. That's why when Hamas made the statement a few days ago they were going to accept Trump's plan, Trump hailed it as a breakthrough as Hamas accepting all 20 points. Netanyahu didn't know Trump was going to say that at right about the same time he was going to issue a statement that said, no, Hamas is rejecting it. And this is Lindsey Graham's no but argument. Same thing he said. He said, look, they're yes, or excuse me, yes, but yes, we're accepting it. But when you say but, you've just negated everything ahead of that, or you just said. So no, they're not accepting it in any way, shape, or form. Mediators from Qatar and Turkey, including Turkish intelligence chief Ibrahim Kalin, are also heading to Sharm el-Sheikh to increase pressure on Hamas. Doesn't seem like it's working, does it? A Saudi report citing an Egyptian source suggested a preliminary agreement could be announced by, get this, by Thursday or Friday. Today's already Tuesday, or by Sunday at the latest if minor obstacles emerge. How about these major articles that Hamas is, major obstacles that Hamas is pushing right now that are emerging? All right, and then we've got this heading, Hamas's aces, list of high-value prisoners. And we talked about this the other day. One of the sticking points involves the Palestinian prisoners Hamas is demanding for release. According to reports, Hamas list includes individuals they consider quote unquote aces, some of the most dangerous and significant figures held by Israel. We've gone through the list. We'll go through it quickly again. Marwan Barghouti, he's like the main one here. He's a senior Palestinian figure currently serving multiple life sentences for leading terror attacks that killed 5 Israelis, and he's done a lot worse than that. Ahmad Sadat, the Secretary General of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, the PFLP, and the mastermind behind the 2001 assassination of Israeli tourism minister Rehavam Ze'evi. Hassan Salameh, a senior commander in Hamas's military wing, convicted for masterminding revenge bombings after the killing of Yahya Ayash, which murdered the revenge killings murdered 46 Israelis, Israelis, and earned him 46 life sentences. And finally, Abbas al-Sayed, the primary planner of the 2002 Park Hotel bombing in Netanya, who was serving 35 life sentences because 35 people died in that bombing. All right, the Israeli negotiation team has been instructed by Prime Minister Netanyahu, now get this, not to allow Hamas to deviate from the terms of the Trump plan or the accompanying withdrawal map. In other words, this is the plan. This is what the withdrawal map. Take it or leave it. No negotiations. Meteors have reportedly issued an ultimatum to Hamas officials: accept the Trump plan or face possible expulsion from Qatar and Turkey. Well, let's hope they stick to that plan. That is Israel. It doesn't look promising that Hamas will in any way, shape, or form. Then we have this very odd headline next. Headline number 2. Israeli officials cautiously are optimistic for negotiations, a source tells the Jerusalem Post. They mentioned this on Tuesday after the talks on Monday. According to the sources, current discussions are focused on the less contentious issues where there is broad agreement. The more complex matters are expected to be addressed next. Director of National Intelligence Organization Ibrahim Kalim will attend the ceasefire negotiations on Wednesday in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. A senior Turkey official, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, a senior Turkey official told the Jerusalem Post. Prior to the negotiations, he will join the MIT chief Khalil and they'll hold a bilateral meeting with officials from the U.S., Egypt, Qatar, and Hamas. Qatar Prime Minister Al-Thani will also join the talks on Wednesday. The Israeli delegation in Cairo will comprise of senior professional levels officials on Tuesday. Security Advisor Chachi Hanegbi is arriving along with Envoy Steve Witkoff from the United States and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law. They're expected to arrive. Several Qatari officials are also scheduled to join the talks. President Donald Trump said another team left for talks in Egypt on Tuesday. Talking to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump said, I think there's a possibility that we could have peace in the Middle East beyond just Gaza. How the Israeli team can be optimistic is hard to understand, given that Hamas is basically objecting to every single point in Trump's 20-point plan. This was supposed to be a take it or leave it plan. It's not going well, people. And finally, from Qatar's perspective, from also the Jerusalem Post, many details to be worked out on Trump's Gaza plan, Qatar officials say. The deal would see Israel receive all 48 hostages back after 2 years of Hamas captivity. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesman said on Tuesday that there were many details to be worked out as President Donald Trump's plan for the Gaza Strip, on his plan for the Gaza Strip. The deal would see Israel receive all 48 hostages back after 2 years of Hamas captivity. The Palestinian terror group Hamas stepped down from Gaza leadership and a number of Palestinian security prisoners released. There are still many details that need to be worked out, says Qatar Foreign Ministry spokesman. At this stage, it's not appropriate to discuss what the obstacles are because they're impossible to get over. We will wait for results of the talks in the coming days, he said at a press conference. Last night, there was a detailed negotiation that lasted more than 4 hours. focusing mainly on identifying the obstacles to implementing the agreement. So they spent 4 hours just talking about what the obstacles are, not solving any of it, but mentioning what they are. Many details still need consensus regarding the agreement's implementation, including the international force, the release of hostages, the prisoner exchange, and the entry of humanitarian aid. Meetings will continue today, and there is no doubt that in this round of talks, all parties are pushing towards an agreement. And then got this little heading here. Egypt said it will work to get the ceasefire done. The Egyptian foreign minister said at a press conference that U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, will arrive on Tuesday. In a meeting with his German counterpart, he said the pair discussed the importance of deploying international forces, which would provide protection for Palestinians and security for Israelis. He added that Egypt will exert every possible effort to reach solutions that guarantee an end to the war. We are now at a decisive stage. We must seize the opportunity, push for an end to the war, prevent expulsion, and avoid annexation, steps that would establish a political horizon ensuring Palestinian legitimacy. An Israeli official told Walla News that the prime minister has agreed to Trump's framework. Hamas said it has agreed as well. They have not. With phase one settled, both sides are now coordinating the immediate return of the hostages. Not really. Again, these articles, this has come from Qatar now. Again, they're in bed totally with Hamas. When asked about Qatar's optimism, Al Ansari noted, we learned the hard way that we must remain emotionally neutral during negotiations, although there's genuine hope that a resolution is achievable. At this point, it's impossible to define the mood as optimistic or pessimistic. We remain fully committed to the proposal and are working to ensure its success, from pushing for an Israeli withdrawal and international presence to allowing humanitarian aid. Yet. Notice all the things they're pushing for are Hamas demands, Israeli withdrawal, international presence, humanitarian aid. Nothing about Hamas withdrawing, nothing about Hamas laying down their weapons, which again, they're already against. We've mentioned that to you also. When asked about the future of Hamas' political office in Doha, now get this, Al Ansari responded, it's too early to address that. Its role as part of the mediation depends on future needs. Hamas would have a political office. That's what Qatar's thinking. They would still be involved. Well, to me, and I'm sure many of you think the same way, it seems like game, set, and match, huh? No matter how Qatar tries to spin it, as many have been warning, Hamas is not and never was interested in making peace with Israel. We'll see how long it takes for that truth to be realized by the Americans in charge, and it shouldn't take very long. It's sad we have to bring you this news, but what we do here in Breaking News is bring you the truth. We don't sugarcoat it. We tell it like it is. We wish we had better news, but we don't. And this is what's going on. And we anticipated this, and sadly, it's only going to get worse. So we'll be back tomorrow morning again, Lord willing. First thing, I'll make sure I got the audio on as opposed to the first breaking news we did today, and we'll let you know the latest because so many things are happening and things are moving very, very fast. But the truth is coming out, and again, it's not very lovely, is it? I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.